I'm thrilled to say I'm joined by five-time world chess champion and arguably the greatest chess player of all time, Magnus Carlsen, for an exclusive interview. The warmest welcome to you, Magnus, here on Arabiya English. I'd like to start this interview by offering the warmest of congratulations. You've just announced with your wife Ella that you're expecting your first child. You must be very excited for this next chapter of your life.
Yeah, of course. It's the biggest thing that can happen in life. So I'm really excited to for what our future will bring.
Yes, and I suppose the question on everyone's lips is, when the time comes, would you like to see them follow the path of chess?
I guess time will show, but I've always been of the position that I will not force my kids into any hobby, but if my kid and hopefully in the future kids will want to take up chess, I will or anything else, I will certainly encourage them.
And they'll have a great inspiration in you. Just in terms of your early life, who was your greatest inspiration in terms of chess growing up?
I think certainly my father was crucial in getting me into chess. He's a keen player himself as an amateur, and he thought by I think both it was a bit of wishful thinking with his own passion, and also by the fact that I was kind of a quiet kid who liked concentrating on one activity for a long time. He thought that I might have some talent, and obviously I'm very grateful for that in the way that it's given me and my family a lot of joy in life.
You've stepped away from classical chess over the past few years. Is that chapter closed for good?
I cannot tell you anything for sure about what's going to happen in the future, but I think what is important to me is in chess has always been kind of driven by my main motivation has been to play and to enjoy the game, and I haven't enjoyed kind of normal classical chess that much the last few years, specifically kind of the more preparation aspect of it, and the fact that it's become the knowledge that we have has become a great equalizer. So I think it's unlikely that that will be a huge focus for me over the next few years, but I'm playing next week, so I think I will continue to play occasionally, but not as a huge focus. That's unlikely, I think.
And in terms of, as you said, the preparation as well, that's involved in classical. For people at home, they may not know, there's so much preparation goes involved, especially with engines, and it sort of takes a lot of the creativity out of the game of chess. You had Bobby Fischer. He created, obviously, Fischer Random or Chess 960. You recently competed in a competition of that last week. How did you enjoy that? Is that something you're going to focus on more in the future?
Yeah, I really enjoy, like, it shouldn't be confused. I like the slower aspects of, like, I like playing slower chess quite a bit. It is kind of fulfilling in a different way to sit at the board for a longer time and delve a little bit deeper into everything. But as you said, there has to be some room for creativity. And I feel the way that classical chess is being played these days, you really have to go quite far away from the best lines to find something that hasn't kind of been analyzed more or less towards a draw. And certainly playing freestyle or Fischer Random or whatever you want to call it, has kind of given me a little bit of that childish joy of just being creative from the get-go. It's kind of given me that back a bit. So I've enjoyed that immensely, and certainly hope to do that a lot in the future as well.
And in terms of childish joys, you just said, you recently, I mean, this is fascinating. You played online Magnus versus the world against 143,000 players. I believe the match ended in a draw. Are you looking towards a rematch?
No, I think the world played a little bit too well, so the game ended up being quite drawish towards the end. But it was a fun experience for sure. I think at the start people were thinking quite a lot on their own, and towards the end there was a little bit, I think, more of a campaign there to get people to play, solid kind of engine approved moves. So I think it's not that easy.
Yes, and in terms of breaking records and stuff, I suppose, or to keep chess exciting, Hikaru Nakamura has recently got 3,408 as his highest ever rating, the highest ever rating on the site. Are you looking forward to breaking that record?
No, I think it's not easy. First of all, he's extremely good, but he also has that mindset from all the hours that he spends streaming to sort of be able to grind down lower rated players for hours and hours, and I don't really have that. If it kind of happens more organically, then good. I've been semi close to that in the past, but it's not a goal in itself for sure.
And in terms of the rivalry, obviously you've had an extremely fierce rivalry with him. How much? Well, there's a lot of comments online that you have a great bromance. Is that true?
No, I think I have a lot of respect for Hikaru, as I do with others, but yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm like big friends with any of the players that I regularly compete with. Like we have a lot of mutual respect, but at the end of the day, I kind of very often achieve what they want to do, and sometimes vice versa. So it's hard to be too close.
Hikaru stated in the past one of his biggest regrets is when, before the Classical at the World Championship against you, he played a match of 40 games against you, and he said he sort of showed his hand. Did you find that to be a huge advantage for yourself?
I think certain things can be true at the same time. I didn't think that much of it. I think my impression before that match was that I was a somewhat better player, and I kind of wanted to prove it, and I felt confirmed that a bit. Apart from that, maybe it was more about him getting into his own head a little bit after that, because certainly in the following years he was not playing up to his capacity against me in classical chess. So maybe there was something to that, but for me it didn't really mean that much in that sense. It kind of more confirmed what I what I already had a suspicion of, how our respective playing strengths were.
And in terms of the best player in the world, or at least the world champion at the moment, obviously the youngest champion as well, which is Gukesh from India, he has stated that he doesn't see himself as the best player in the world because he didn't beat you to attain the title. What do you make of that?
I think those comparisons are always going to be a bit unfair. I think Gukesh beats an extremely impressive field in order to qualify for the World Championship match, and then won a very exciting match against Sting as well. And apart from that, well, he had a poor showing in his last classical tournaments, and he's always kind of struggled so far in Rapid and Blitz, but he's also had very, very good results in classical. Is he the best player in the world? Well, I don't necessarily think so, but he's kind of done everything that you could expect from him, and so much more as well. So I think those, I know like I'm the one who kind of brings it on in a sense by withdrawing from the World Championship, but I think generally it's a bit unfair to him. I think he's doing fantastic and is very worthy as a world champion.
In terms of changing the rules, obviously, as you said, at FIDE, it can be a little outdated. You had the famous incident where they wouldn't allow you to continue in a tournament because you were wearing a pair of jeans. Do you see yourself as a positive influence in chess to try and modernize the game?
Well, I would say I'm very much not focused on FIDE. I'm not particularly trying to change those things. I'll more or less leave that to them. As for the jeans, you know, I felt that generally my attire was perfectly fine, and the jeans was just, you know, an honest mistake. I just forgot to change. But I mean, seeing as my other, like, otherwise my attire was perfectly fine. I think it was an absurd overreaction, like, and generally speaks to the incompetence of the organization. But yeah, that's not that's not where I am at the moment. I'll let FIDE be FIDE, and there are other things to life as well.
And speaking of those other things, you're streaming a lot now. Obviously, Hikaru is as well. It's had a hugely positive impact on chess. How are you finding that life?
I think it's fun when I'm home to be able to do these streaming things once in a while. For me, it's not about a career or anything. It's just, you know, sharing a little bit of my joy of chess with people. So yeah, it's definitely fun.
And in terms of rivalry, you had a famous, I suppose, online beef and then obviously a lawsuit with Hans Niemann. Have you spoken to him since?
No.
And also in regards to streaming, Levi Rosman at Gotham Chess, he is hoping to become a Grandmaster. Obviously, Ben Feingold, he became a Grandmaster at age 40. He has said, Rosman, he won't be able to attain that. Do you believe Levi Rosman will ever become a Grandmaster?
I think whether he's becoming a is going to become a Grandmaster or not is not that interesting. I think what is interesting to him and to others is kind of the journey, and I hope that really leads to something positive, because that's what it's really all about. I see a lot of other content creators on YouTube, for instance, like trying to attain a certain goal, and I feel like that's the really interesting part about it is the journey, and then, you know, most people don't eventually reach their goals. So I think that's what it's really all about. And I'm following like everybody else to see if he will make it happen.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it here at Arabiya English. Magnus Carlsen.
Thank you so much.